Bonjour. Wachie. Hello. Morning. I want to begin my comments by acknowledging our Creator for giving us this day. I also want to acknowledge the territory of Mississauga's New Credit First Nation, where we all are standing today. Firstly, my name is Deputy Grand Chief Terry Waboose, Abamatung Donji. I'm from Abamatung First Nation, and we're also a member of Neskantaga Nation and a neighbor of Neskantaga First Nation. Neskantaga Nation was Treaty 9 was signed in 1905 between the federal governments, and also the provincial government was also a signatory to it. The basis of our treaty was that we all agreed to share the land with the newcomers. And so we entered into the treaty. So over the last over 100 years now, that partnership, that commitment, that obligation hasn't been met by our treaty partners in various issues, including what the chief spoke about today. And that's simply not acceptable. We also have issues related to education, housing, and infrastructure issues that are critical. The Neskantaga Nation is a vast territory. It covers roughly 2/3 of the top of the province. Our territory stretches from the Hudson Bay, James Bay coast on the east, as far north as Fort Severn, as to the Ontario-Manitoba border, and as far south as Thunder Bay, Timmins, in that area. So it's quite a large territory. We have 49 First Nations, as I said. 34 of those are remote and isolated, flying only. And for many of those, they don't have all-weather road access. For 2-3 months of the year, we have, or of course, pending the weather, they have 2 or 3 months of winter roads. And that is when most of the infrastructure can be at a more sustainable, cost-effective way to get a lot of their infrastructure. With the issue of water, presently we have 35 First Nations under boil water advisories in the Neskantaga Nation. And that's simply not acceptable to the children, the leadership, and it shouldn't be acceptable to all of you. And so that's why I'm here, to support the chief, and I thank the Regional Chief for being here, and also acknowledge the former Chief Peter Moonias, because we see the importance of the fundamental rights to water. As I said, Nan Territory is vast in resources, vast in water resources, but yet many of our communities cannot drink safe potable water. And that's a shame. I'll give you a contradiction, or just an example recently. The city of Manitoba earlier this summer had a 3-day boil water advisory. And I say Winnipeg, though it's in a different province, the water comes from the Shoal Lake First Nation in Ontario. So Winnipeg's water supply comes from that First Nation territory. And within 3 days, they did something about it. And there you see the contrast. Whereas Chief Moonias has been waiting for over 20 years. Some have been waiting 11, 10, 15 years or more. And that's not acceptable. I, like the Regional Chief, call on the federal government to address this issue, much like the Chief said. It's been far too long, and that's not acceptable. As a matter of fact, 15 First Nations in the riding of the Minister, Greg Rickford, are under boil water advisory. 15.
Shame.
Yeah. And he's the minister. He's in the cabinet of Stephen Harper. So he knows very well the situation, and he's done nothing. And as Chief Day mentioned, the other parties have responded, and meanwhile the current Conservative government has been silent, too silent. So I remind the public that we need your support. We need the message to get out. It just can't be us. We're all Canadians because we have a treaty with you. We have a treaty with your governments and each and every one of you. And so we want to move forward in a collaborative way, but as the chief mentioned, too much time has lapsed and it's time for action, and I'm here on behalf of Anishinaabe Nation to support him in that endeavor. Miigwech, thank you very much, and well, if you guys want to talk, I'll be available. Miigwech.